Holy smokers, folks. New year, new stock market. Absolutely incredible. The NASDAQ is now up over 6% here to start out the year, and we're only in the second trading week of the entire year. An absolutely extraordinary move right off the bat here. Now, everybody's wondering, is this a trap? That's what everybody's thinking right now. This can't be real. This must be just some sort of like short-term phenomenon. We're going to go right back down to lower lows and those sorts of things, right? And that's the way I think everybody's thinking about things right now. And so I thought, let's make an in-depth video discussing this. I want to show you some very important things, some metrics and some things to look at in the market right now. So if you're wondering, is this a trap? You can kind of take these and kind of justify if it is or not, right? I'm also going to show you back at history in some different time periods with some different stocks and how those stocks reacted during those time periods. And you're going to see a lot of similarities between what happened back then versus what's going on now, okay? So I hope you guys enjoy this as always. I appreciate everybody joining me, being subscribed to the channel as always. I think the main reason everybody thinks this is a trap, I'll be honest, is because everybody's heartbroken in the stock market right now, right? Everybody's heartbroken. Everybody, let's just be honest, got hit very, very, very hard starting in the back half of 2021 and obviously in 2022, right? So when you're in one of these kind of vicious bear markets, right? And every single time you get some sort of upward momentum in the stock market just to end lower, right? And for your stocks to go up and then just end lower, you start to become very jaded. You become heartbroken. It's no different than like, I don't know, being in a relationship, right? And somebody breaks your heart. And then you just start thinking very defensive, right? And you start not even letting a chance for love to come in your heart because you're so heartbroken over the situation. And investors act the same exact way. When you get hurt significantly, right? Which the stock market hurt a lot of people significantly, right? They start to not even believe rallies are real. They start to not even believe it's possible. There's no way the stock market go up. No way, okay? And that's the way folks start thinking, okay? And so I want to kind of give everybody in this video a chance to kind of look at this from a different angle, which is not so emotional driven in that heartbreak stage, but more like on the practical front. So once again, hope you guys enjoy this as always. I appreciate everybody joining me. Also, so everybody that knows in the private stock group, private wealth group, we do have that meeting coming up today, the Zoom meeting. So that's going to happen in an hour or two. And if anybody's looking to join us in the private stock group, private wealth group, fill out an application that will be pinned comment, or it will be it will be in the description area, something like that. Okay. And also the big day tomorrow for the Patreon portfolio. Thank you everybody that's supporting the channel over on Patreon. Tomorrow's the big day. It's the second buys ever in the new Patreon portfolio. So if you want access to that, check out the pinned comment down there in the description area. Okay. I want to start out today's video with Metastock. I thought this was a perfect stock to start today's video on. Why is this a perfect stock to start today's video on? The reason being is this is a stock that has gone absolutely incredible beast mode. This is roughly a 2-month performance for Metastock. The stock price is up 52% in about a 2-month span. That rate of return is astronomically high, okay? If I told any great investor they could make 52% on a stock over a 2-year span, not 2-month span, over a 2-year span, almost pretty much every single great investor. If I told Warren Buffett, hey man, this stock's going to get you a 52% return over the next 2 years, Warren Buffett would take that in a hot second, okay? Every great investor would. That is a ridiculous rate of return, right? And so people kind of see this and like, oh my gosh, is this even for real? Sometimes you got to zoom out a little bit more to kind of get some real reference, right? This is Meta's 1-year performance. The stock is down 59% over the past 1 year. And that's despite the ridiculous 52% move over the past 2 months, right? And so a stock like Meta has a long way to go. And this is something you're going to see a commonality between Meta and a lot of other stocks in the market is many of these companies have a long way to go. Not to reach some new incredible all-time high, but literally just to get back to where their stock prices used to be. A long way to go. And the same exact, Meta, think about this. Meta stock could double over the next year. And that stock price would still not even be back to where it used to be. By the way, it used to be undervalued. Even in the 300s, Meta's undervalued. Anybody that knows anything about running valuations will tell you straight up, like Meta's undervalued even in the 300s, right? And so here we are with the stock that could double and wouldn't even be still remotely close, right? Because the stock price doubles is at what, $270? This used to be a $340, $350 stock. So a stock like this has a long way to go, man, so far to go, right? You look at a stock like Tesla. Since the first trading day of 2023, right, which is just last week, the stock price is already up 16%. That's incredible, right? I mean, 16% in a year would be good for most stocks. Most people are happy getting an 8%, a 7% or 8% return in a year from the stock market, right? Tesla just gave investors that in a matter of a little over a week, right? Well, double that, double what other investors are happy with. They gave them that in a little over a week, right? But if you just zoom out a little bit, right? Look at Tesla over the past year. The stock's down almost 67%, right? It's a long road back for Tesla. You're going to need the highest battery pack to get this baby back, right? It's a long way to go. It's going to be a long climb. It's not happening tomorrow. It's not happening over this next year. It's just going to be a step-by-step process. It's going to take a significant amount of time for it to get back. It will, in my opinion, get back to all-time highs. No different than Meta will get back to all-time highs, right? But I can tell you, it's a long road back. It doesn't happen magically. When you go through a nasty bear market, it takes a while for these stocks to come back, right? This is one of the most insane charts you will ever see in your life, okay? This is a 1 month chart for Oatly stock, right? $1.5 billion company. The stock price has gone up 91% in 1 month. 1 month. Now you might think that's ridiculous. That's incredible, right? But zoom out a little bit and guess what? Oatly's 1 year, even after that 91% return, right? In the 1 year, it's down 65%, almost 66%, right? So that's the important part to understand this market. Many of these stocks have so far to climb. Now, do I think Oatly's probably going back to all-time highs or at least back to here? Yes. I think it's probably going to be a double-digit dollar stock again. But it's not happening tomorrow, right? It's just we're in the very early innings of the process of recovery for a lot of these stocks. And they have so far to go, like year or years to go to get back to where they used to be. It's not happening magically tomorrow, right? Now, I think a good stock to look at in terms of stock that's been through a lot of, markets, right? A lot of rough markets. And it's important to look at a stock like Amazon throughout time, right? Because obviously Amazon's always been a great company that's had a great long-term prospects for their business model, great long-term business model, right? But if you look at this company over time, it's gone through some very rough time periods, right? And if you look back at the great financial crisis, I pulled this up for you guys to look back at Amazon stock and how it reacted in the great financial crisis. It took that stock about 18 months or so, maybe a little over 18 months, maybe 20 months to get back to where it used to be essentially. It didn't magically happen overnight. It took a period of time, right? It downtrended for basically about a year roughly, and then it took almost another year, right? Another 9 months, 6 months, something like that, to get back to where it used to be prior to the big fall there, right? So it didn't happen overnight. It was a time period had to play out there, right? Now, the tech bubble is the most extreme example, right? Because at that time, Amazon got valued at, it was over $10 billion. It might have even been $20 billion or something like that. And at that time, they were just an online bookstore. It was ridiculous valuation, right? But in this situation, it took 7 years for the stock price to get back. Now, once again, that was the most insane valuation ever was slapped on that stock, like many stocks in the tech bubble days. But nonetheless, that was a long time period to get back. Now, this next chart I'm going to show you is absolutely mind-blowing. And this is going to illustrate to you how important pricing paid for a stock is. Because what you're going to find time and time again in the stock market is there's going to be one person that buys a stock at a certain price and is absolutely devastated. There's another person that buys that same stock at a different price and they are ecstatic over the moon. And you might say it's the same company. It's the same stock, the same CEO, the same numbers, and yet one investor can be so happy and one investor can be absolutely wrecked and devastated, right? And it really all comes down to price you pay. Look at this next chart and have your mind blown, okay? Check this out. If you bought Amazon stock in the fall of 2001 through 2007, right? We're not even going into today. The return would be so ridiculous, it's hard to even explain. But if you bought Amazon in fall of 2001 and you held it through 2007, right? Look at the rate of return you got. You got a 1,168% return, right? So here you are, you could have one guy that buys in the fall of 1999. He looks like the biggest idiot in the world, right? He loses ridiculous sums of money. He loses 70, 80% of his value in the stock, right? Then you got another guy. He comes in and he's like, I love this Amazon company. They got a great future. He comes in, scoops up shares in the fall of 2001, 2 years later, right? And he looks like the smartest man in the room. He looks like he's the next Jeff Bezos with one of the most ridiculous returns you can possibly imagine, right? And anybody would be happy with a 1,100% return over a 6-year span or so, right? Pricing you pay for a stock is so darn important. And my view on this, right, is late 2020 into early 2021, idiots were made, right? People paid ridiculous prices for stocks. Ridiculous, right? Geniuses will be made over this next year, and geniuses are already starting to be made, and they'll be made more over this next year, essentially, right? Because the bottom line is the value, the price you have to pay for stocks is extremely low compared to what you've had to pay at almost any point other than the great financial crisis over the past 20 years or so, right? And these folks obviously looked awful. You buy any stock right here, it was just a poor financial decision, right? Now, there's some people that it is a very small percentage of folks, but there's some folks that are going to have bought here, but also going to buy down here, so that's good, right? But unfortunately, what happened is most folks bought here and sold out through here, which caused these prices to get so far more devastated than they would have in any normal environment, right? And you add on the Fed working against the market all on top of that, and you're going to send valuations pretty much to the lowest you've seen them in modern times, right? And that's exactly what's happened. And so there's going to be geniuses made. There's so many stocks with so many opportunities to make so much money over the next 5 years, in my opinion, that there's going to be people that make life-changing money. While these folks, unfortunately, might have bought those same stocks that these people are buying now, and these folks lost huge. And these folks are probably already winning huge because many of these stocks are already bouncing 30, 40, 50, 60, 70%. But this is just the start of what's going to play out over a multi-year horizon, essentially, okay? Multi-years in regards to all that, right? Now, this doesn't just happen in the stock market. This can happen in real estate as well. You look at the main place I live, right? Which right now I'm at my Arizona house. But when I'm in Vegas, which is where I mainly live, right? This is a city that was the face of the great financial crisis when it came to the housing boom and bust, right? And that was a market that prices got driven up to ridiculous levels. And people had their homes foreclosed on, did short sales, lost fortunes on homes that were buying in 2005, 2006, 2007, essentially, right? And I know some of those folks personally that had to do either foreclosures or short sales or those sorts of things on their homes, right? And they got devastated. And a lot of those folks still haven't bought a home since because they were so emotionally heartbroken by that situation that they've decided ever since then just to rent. And so they've thrown away rent over the past decade plus, right? Over the past 10, 15 years, they've thrown away countless amounts of rent money, just thrown it away, right? Well, they could have been building equity in homes that ultimately they went up in price over time, right? But they made emotional decisions to sell and never get back involved, right? Now, these folks look like complete idiots, 2005 through 2007, who were buying homes, right? These folks right here look like geniuses. Right here, there were literally people paying, let's say, $400,000 for a home, right? $400,000. Next thing you know, a year or two later, they're foreclosing on that home, they're short selling that home. Somebody else, 2010 through 2012, is buying that same home that somebody paid $400,000 for. They were buying that same home for less than $200,000. Less than $200,000. That's how dramatic it was, right? These folks look like idiots. What are you doing buying homes that expensive? You are crazy. It's a bubble, blah, blah, blah. And these folks look like the smartest people ever, right? The thing was, these people were likely told that they were making a smart decision. That's the problem with this. That's always the problem. These folks were told that they were making a good decision. Oh, buying homes, that's good. Yeah, look at how much things are appreciating. Great decision, right? And then these folks, you know what they were told? You're an idiot. Prices just keep going down and down and down. Why would you buy a home? That's what they would have been told, right? And so isn't it funny how that works? These folks would have been told how smart they are, but really they were the idiot. And these folks would have been told how much of an idiot they are for buying homes when prices just keep going down. But yet, in the end, they were the geniuses. Isn't that funny how life works like that, huh? Crazy. CPI numbers came in. They fell 0.1% in December, in line with expectations from economists. Good, okay? Things are on the right track as far as inflation goes, okay? The trend is starting to become our friend. We do have quite a way to go. We have to keep that in mind. Inflation, yes, everything's trending in the right way. Great news for us all. And even if you're not in the market, that's great news, right? But we have a long way to go, right? The Fed wants to see inflation in the twos. And we're still in the sixes when it comes to CPI. So we've got another, I don't know, could be anywhere from 6 months to 9 months before we can even dream about the twos, right? Some people don't even think we're hitting the twos this year. They think it's not till 2024 that we hit the twos. Regardless whether you think it's 6 months or you think it's 18 months from now we hit the twos, we're trending the right way, right? It's just a question of when do we get there. And so that's really, really good news as far as that goes, right? But the way I'll put it like this, okay? I have a friend, I'll watch some playoff basketball games, especially like the NBA finals. I don't really watch much of that regular season. But I have a friend, he hates NBA. He hates basketball. He thinks it's such a waste of time to even, watch that sport, right? And he's like, what do you even care about that? Just watch the fourth quarter or, just watch the end of the game. Because, basically the first 3 quarters is them just wasting time trying to keep it close. And then somebody's going to pull away at the very end, right? And it might be a valid point nonetheless, right? But the way I view this market right now, I view it very similar to a basketball game, like my friend kind of looks at it, right? We have no clue if we have just started the next bull cycle or if we have another leg lower to go. Because the next bull cycle or leg lower is really going to be dependent upon earnings. And we don't know how earnings are looking yet. We're going to start to get a good context of earnings over this next 1 to 2 weeks, and I'll cover that for you guys on the channel. But until we get these earnings to start coming out, until we start getting these companies to give guidance on their next quarter, on their next year, we can't make any judgments for this market. For now, we just have to kind of play it cool and just kind of wait for the show to happen here, because we don't know how this game concludes yet. We have no clue. We could have another huge leg lower to go. The Dow could go down another 10, 20, 30%, right? So S&P 500 and NASDAQ as well. That could definitely be possible. But it's all dependent upon earnings now at this point in time. If earnings hold up decent, we could have just started the next new bull cycle, because the next thing you know, inflation is going to come down to the next, appropriate rates, right? And then all of a sudden the Fed will start end up cutting rates, right? As kind of maybe 2023 ticks along. So we can definitely be on the right track, but we don't know. We don't know either way. I don't know. You don't know. No one knows as of right now. We're going to get some really good information over this next couple of weeks that will tell us how this game is going to end. And based upon that information, then we can talk about, oh no, we're still in this bear market, we got further to go. Or you know what? Other than that, it's just a guess. Everybody's just guessing right now. That's the bottom line, okay? Everybody can throw out their opinion on a dartboard right now, but until we get these earnings to come in, no one truly knows, right? And so I think that's a very important thing that we all have to factor in at this point in time right now, right? Now, something I want to show folks that care about honest stock. This is important data. The Honest Company continues to show strong sales gains per tracking in the Nielsen across all retail outlets. The consumer goods company recorded a 25.8% year-over-year increase on sales over a 4-week tracking period and a 35.3% sales gain over a 12-week tracking period to easily outpace nearly all other household product peers. On a volume basis, Honest saw an 8.2% increase over the 4-week tracking period and a 7.1% increase across the 12-week period. Things are trending right? When the data's on your side, that's usually a pretty good thing. In terms of the market data, we have to wait and we have to see how these earnings come in at. But nonetheless, next elf on the shelf right there, baby. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, I appreciate everybody for joining me. If you're looking to join us in the Patreon, that will be linked below. If you're looking to apply to join my private stock group, my private wealth group, that will also be linked below. Appreciate y'all and have a great day.